Everyone set? Call to order for a Watertown City Council meeting for August 4th of 2025. Please rise while Councilman Schutte leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this new day that you've given us, and the life and breath that you put in our lungs. And tonight we get to gather in this room, in this facility, Lord, to govern this city and whatever decisions that we need to make tonight, or whatever discussions we have. We just pray to help us to see everything from every angle, bring things to light that we can make the proper decision, Lord. There is wise counsel is what brings great understanding, Lord. And so I just pray for your leading and guidance tonight, and we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Here we go. Pauline,
Here.
Mormon,
Here.
Jurens. Here. Peters.
Here.
Shetty.
Here.
Allen. Here. Hoyer.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. The chair will ask for a motion to approve the agenda, but first I'm going to make one slight change. I will explain it can do so now. Councilman Jurens has to leave after time here in order to, I'll just say Councilman Jurens has to leave the meeting, and his item that we need him here for absolutely is the one that he has asked to put on the agenda, which is 12A. So unless there is any objections, I'm going to move 12A to the first item on the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda is made by Peters, seconded by Councilman Hoyer. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for open forum. Is there anyone here who would like to discuss something in front of the council not on tonight's agenda? I'll close open forum and we will go into our agenda. Item 12A is a discussion of Resolution 25-22, a resolution resetting the on-sale license fee for full-service restaurants pursuant to Chapter 2.02 of the revised ordinances of the City of Watertown. Now, Councilman Jurens, if you don't mind, I was not able to get it on the large screen. I can get some, but just to provide some background information that I know that you would provide as well, but the license under consideration tonight is one that the city issued originally in 2009. It allows for a liquor license to be awarded to a location but they have to sell 60% of their revenues have to be made from food. It can't go underneath that, otherwise you lose the license. The city originally approved it in 2009 and set the initial fee for $205,000 for that license. We should make it clear that this license is not the property of the person who has it. It is transitory. You get it, and it does not follow you wherever you go. You don't own it once you get it. You can just use it at your restaurant. The fee was subsequently lowered to $100,000 by a resolution of the City Council in 2019. The average net worth or the average cost of a liquor license in Watertown, South Dakota is $179,000. There are 27 of those. 10 of those liquor license establishments responded, and the lowest any one of them had paid for a liquor license was $150,000, and the highest was $205,000. That brings forward the net or the average worth of $179,000. Since 2009, and then again when it was revised in 2019, City of Watertown has set the price at $100,000. We have not had any applicants, nor have we had any establishment operating under this license. Just for anybody who's interested, Aberdeen Brookings and Sioux Falls all also have this form of license. Aberdeen has set it at a price of $100,000 and has 3 issued under this license. Brookings has the exact same price, has 2. Sioux Falls has set their price for $192,000, and they have 10 currently. That is just some background information that I thought would help the discussion, and we will go to Councilman Jurens.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I did some further research. I looked at Yankton. They have it set at 70,000. I looked at, is it on?
Oh, yeah, sorry, your mic's not on yet. Come on.
Is it off or on? So everybody's read?
Oh, I was hoping to jump in really quick. I just wanted to say I'm recusing myself from this. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Now that we're live, I'll just repeat what I had started. Yankton has theirs set at 70,000. Fargo, Grand Forks are in that 30,000 range to get a restaurant liquor license. This is according to AI, which, as all of us know, may not always be completely accurate, but it was very accurate on Aberdeen at 100,000. They have currently 2 licenses bought, 2 or 3. Brookings had 3, and they just lost one recently, so they're down to 2 that they have sold. And thanks for the number on Sioux Falls. So a lot of the research, really when it comes down to it is what the state is setting. They have set that this is, at a minimum, needs to be charged based on the last census, $1 for each resident in the city. So the minimum it could go to is $23,000 based on state law. So just a little bit up front. But really why I got started on this is the last quite a few years, chatting with family, chatting with residents of Watertown, and chatting with those that travel here, the surprise has always been, why don't we have more restaurant options, especially in the finer world of being able to order a steak, being able to have options. Recently, we had a great addition to Watertown, but what they're talking about is not only chains like Texas Roadhouse, the one down under, Outback with the blooming onion. We get that. I get that a lot, but what I'm really excited about is maybe the opportunity for a locally owned restaurant option for those who choose that. We've got great options right now, but we also have more people traveling to Watertown. We have more people coming here on weekends. Really, the weekend that we just had, if you were around Watertown and at a restaurant, you would have seen baseball fans and baseball players because they filled this town up this weekend. And it wasn't just a 2-day tournament. It wasn't just the weekend. They started on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. When we start talking options, it's not just for our residents, but it's for our guests that show up here for volleyball, soccer, wrestling. Don't leave the debate team out because they have tournaments here also on weekends. But there's a lot of people traveling here. And in today's world, they like to have options. Eating out has become a pastime to a lot of people. And Watertown is there's nothing really different about it. But the opportunities really for a restaurant, when you start talking $100,000 upfront cost, a bank doesn't recognize that as an asset, like you talked about in your opening statements. The other liquor licenses, the unrestricted, so to speak, liquor license, is an owned liquor license. It's an asset. In fact, there's some in town that are buying them as investments. So that's really, really what I'd like to distinguish this to is that it's not the restaurant, it's not the full liquor license. And the challenge with starting any business is the upfront cost. Now with restaurants, the challenge of keeping a restaurant viable, it's probably got, I didn't check anywhere for the latest statistics, it may have changed since COVID, but the chances of a restaurant surviving is very, very minimal already. And then they get slapped with $100,000. if they choose to try to make and make a living, or at least make the revenue to sell a drink to go with your meal. So that's a couple of things, bullet points that I had. The other bullet point is recently we saw sales tax revenue and BBB revenue again go up from a year ago. These are great numbers, but I started thinking, what can we do as a council to advocate for this or to help tax revenue continue to go up? Why is this important for residents of Watertown? Because if those that are choosing to go out and eat and stay in our hotels and purchase things in town, if they choose to do that, that's a tax on them. This is really, really not a regressive tax. It's not a tax on your loaf of bread. It's not a tax on your staples. So I looked at what it can do for positive influence on tax revenues, and I don't see one place where it would hurt it. In fact, I believe it would increase tax revenue, if anything. So based on current demand for this license and based on past demand since 2009 of 0 bought, I believe the market is asking for something. It's asking for some help. It's asking for something less to come to the marketplace, one less expense, so to speak, where there's a lot of expenses already. One thing that I have heard over and over, maybe even from past councilmen and looking at some of the past information on this, is that current liquor license holders may view this as hurting their market value of their license. I don't know if that's really true. I don't think there's any statistics on it that would back that. And a lot of them that hold that liquor license, they do have video lottery. And most of them have not really struggled if that business is operating correctly. So, there might be some information. Someone may have offered some information to other councilmen, but that's what I would leave you with as just where I came up with this, what ideas I had in introducing this tonight.
Thank you. And just to make clear to everyone who might be watching, this is just a discussion. This is not a first reading. Therefore, it will be somewhat informal. This is for council to explore ideas, state their questions, possibly get some progress on this. So with that said, I will open it up for anything from the council. Councilman Allen.
I guess I'm curious as to why it seems to work in other cities at a higher price. Do we have any evidence? As Lynn pointed out, we haven't had any applications for this license, and I don't know if that's because it's the cost of the license, or maybe there's just no demand for this particular type of license. I just don't know. I mean, Sioux Falls, what was it, 190-some thousand for the license, and they've got 10 of them. Of course, a much bigger city, maybe much greater demand. I'm not an expert, and maybe Kyle, you have some information about this, but in my experience, when people say, well, we want more restaurant variety in town, most of the chain restaurants, at least, have an actuarial table that they use. You got to have a certain population, have to have a certain median income, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think that no matter how attractive we make that license, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get those, the Outbacks of the world, because I'm not sure we meet their other criteria. So before we lower the price, I think I'd like to know, is there some evidence that that's a barrier currently? Because it doesn't seem to be in other communities, but as Lynn pointed out, maybe there's a local restaurateur that wants to start up a restaurant and wants to serve liquor, and this is just a bridge too far for them. I don't know how we get that information exactly, but maybe you know of somebody that's trying to do that. I just don't know. I think restaurants right now are really, really difficult businesses because of the cost of things like beef and everything else going up. I just think it becomes, it's a significant barrier, I think. And I believe that in some of our finer restaurants, you need 3, maybe 4 turns a night in order to be profitable in terms of how many times your tables turn over. And I just don't know that we're there. I think it's a struggle. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not unwilling to lower the cost of a license if we can have some evidence that it's a barrier. But on the other hand, maybe it's just something that people aren't really desiring, or they put up the money. I don't know. Thank you.
Councilman Jerns, I think that there was a question in there such as, do we know that it's the price that is precluding people from applying for it?
I can only go back to my basic economics from freshman in college and go, supply, demand, there is no demand. We have an unlimited supply. They can come in and buy multiple of these, but there's no one buying them in 16 years. So that's about the only way I can answer that question. I don't have any statistics, but I would offer this. I did chat with one of the local attorneys that does help set up small businesses, and he said that they've had inquiries about starting restaurants, and this has been a challenge in past conversations that he's had with restaurant proposed owners.
Councilman Peters?
I have a quick question before I dive in. Are these unlimited? There's an unlimited amount of these licenses? Okay, just a clarification. Okay, the question that I would have for starters here is on the ratio requirement of food and drink. How is that reported, and could they get in trouble for that, or how does that process work?
There is an annual reporting requirement into the licensing office as part of finance, and if they don't meet the threshold, the license would no longer be valid.
Okay. The second question I have here is maybe a little bit hypothetical, but if we lower the rate of this food and drink license that we're discussing here, is there a scenario where bar owners could forego their current license, get this license, and sell their real liquor license to another bar? Does that make sense? Are you following me here a little bit? Is that a scenario, or is that a risk?
That is a real scenario, but they would have to meet the food requirement.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
I would just maybe, can I make one more comment?
Councilman Peters?
I would just maybe close by saying I appreciate your comments, Councilman Jurens, and I am in favor of lowering these fees just because if you look at what's going on the last almost now 20 years, nothing has happened. And so something needs to happen. I would kind of liken it to a real estate deal. If you put a very expensive property on the market, it doesn't sell, you're probably going to lower the price or take it off the market. And so I think lowering the price to see what happens makes a lot of sense. And if we find out that there's tons of people coming, I think that's a good problem to have. I think that increases our sales tax revenues. So I'm in favor of this just to, if anything, stir up some things a little bit rather than just have them stay stagnant. So I appreciate the councilman for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councilman Shetty?
Thank you, Mayor. So one question first. I have a couple of questions here, but one question would be for whomever. What justifies the current fees, whatever we would set this at, as far as when we discussed medical marijuana, for example, we're working through, what cost, like in Colorado, we use that as an example. As far as that was more recreational, there's a difference between recreational and medical, but as far as what cost does that bring to first responders and all that. When it comes to this alcohol, though, sale here, as far as a restaurant license, what justifies $25,000? What justifies, 100,000, I guess? Does someone have some thoughts on that question before I move on?
Does anyone want to take that?
So originally, when this statute came out, the cities were required to basically go and look and see what people had paid in the past in order to set that bar. And then they had to hold it for 10 years. You guys couldn't change it after that. But then the 10-year mark came, and then that's when the discussion happened that lowered it from the $200,000 odd number to $100,000. And at that time, my understanding was part of the conversation was that because it's not an asset, you have a license. You leave that location, you lose that license. So similar to the cannabis licenses that we have. It's not considered an asset for this particular license. It stays with the business, and if the business shuts down or leaves, then they just forfeit. So they didn't have any ability to borrow money against it. My understanding was is that the banks would not hold it as an asset, whereas right now, the other liquor licenses that are out there, they're assets. The banks file UCC statements on them, and they basically can borrow money to buy them. Whereas in this situation, it's just another license that you get from the city, and that was the reason for lowering it to the 100,000. I'm not sure, I would have to lean toward Councilman Jurens as to how the $25,000 number came up, other than we've used that for cannabis. That's the only thing I could think of, but as far as that, but that's why it was lowered to 100 at that time. And you don't have to wait anymore with like another 10 years or anything. It was just that initial assessment, so.
Thank you. Yeah, and so that's the thought is, 5,000, 10,000, 25, 40, 50, what cost is it to the city? In some fees, we look at what it does for the engineering department or other departments, what they have to be involved in, so I guess I'm not hearing that there's really a cost to the city per se, as far as it's going to have to up our police force because of having, more restaurants with this license, or, I'm not hearing anything like that, but that's my thought behind this, what more cost is there? So when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, there's some sense to why is it even at $100,000 is one thought. Now, on the other side of things, I guess, would be what about the current liquor license holders? It was brought up by Councilman Jurens earlier a little bit. That's kind of how do we know where things may fall? If we get 10 restaurants like this, does this affect the price of a liquor license, the cost, the value, I guess, that a current liquor license owner has at the average of $179,000? Does this, I guess that's the crystal ball, I guess, but does that affect, I guess, does anybody have thoughts on how this can affect the current liquor license holders? I mean, it was brought up briefly, but I guess I'd be curious to find some discussion on that point as well.
And Councilman Shetty, I just want to be respectful of Councilman Jurens. I know he has to leave here pretty soon, and I would like to give him the final word, if only to express his intent. I would just say, personally, when it comes to my vote on this topic, if it comes to a vote, it is the concern of the existing liquor licenses, because those were purchased by and large as investments by the establishments and sometimes as individuals, and they're worth a lot of money. I mean, to the point of, I know several people who own them that at times when they were getting close to bankruptcy, during times of when the economy was really bad and restaurant businesses that are already pretty tight, the one thing that was keeping them alive was they had this in their pocket. They had that as equity, and that had a lot of substance. So the fear that I have is if you lower these fees, you are creating competitors. You would potentially devalue the price, the value of the current liquor licenses, and that starts entering into a field where I would be concerned with that. But I just wanted to express that there is that concern out there, but you knew that already. And out of respect for your time, I want to give you a chance to have the final word, unless anyone has something else for you. But give you the final word as far as how you might want to proceed with this, because this was just discussion tonight. But Councilman Jurens.
Thanks, Mayor. We're red. So first of all, I'd like to answer Lisa's question about the 25,000. I came up with that number as opinions from other councilmen, because I called each of them and asked what their opinion was on where this should be. So it wasn't Lynn Jurens coming up with it. I agreed with it, though. I think you set the price where something might work. And the city's getting no revenue right now, so there's no cost to the city to do this. Second of all, to the residents of Watertown, for the first time, there's no cost to them. We've discussed a little bit, former patrolman is on the council, and we dug into discussion about what this could cause for law enforcement. We're not opening up more casinos and bars in town. I've nothing against that. That's not the discussion. But restaurants don't sit there and serve patrons till 1:32 a.m. on the whole. I don't know, maybe that will change, but I don't see that happening. So I don't see a big cost to the city. I see it as just a little bit more revenue because zero have been sold, even at 25,000. So that kind of helps maybe some of the discussion on where the 25,000 came from. The ace in the hole from back in the day, and the argument has always been, Mayor, this could hurt their license. There's a couple thoughts there. Do we let everyone in Watertown lose potential tax revenue from sales tax from BBB because of 27 other residents or non-residents who own those licenses? I can't answer that. But why should everyone not have good choices for restaurants, or at least give entrepreneurs the opportunity to start a restaurant because we're worried about the other 27? And I believe that has been the challenge for a lot of years from other councilmen that are not here, that have either resigned or retired or been voted off. That was kind of the feeling from quite a few years ago. So I get that. I still can't figure out how the market value of their licenses, because they're able nowadays to overcome that with video lottery sales. They're able to overcome that with more liquor sales because they don't have this restriction of 60%. And they're able to also overcome that with market value as an asset. So, whether that plays a role in how this gets decided, I would like to see this decided in 2 weeks at a city council meeting. If that's what everyone else is, fine. In fact, I wouldn't have minded to have a vote tonight on it. But, as Councilman Schutte has said in the past, let's just sit back and think about this for a while, make a wise decision. So here we are. There's no big hurry, but it'd be nice to see this on the agenda again to be voted on in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Jurens. Councilman Mormon?
Just wondering, is 25,000, is that the number that you would like to see it go to?
I think that's a good place.
Okay.
I actually have talked to other councilmen, and they would have been fine. I asked them what their thoughts was. I didn't let them know that the minimum was 23,000. I didn't say, I didn't, what do you call that, load the question? I didn't let them know this is what I was thinking. I asked them, what are your thoughts? What do you feel is a good place that this market could handle?
Sure.
This type of a license fee.
No, thank you.
Councilman Allen?
Just to clarify, and I think Lynn just did this, but we're limited. We can't drop it to like $5,000 because it has to be $1 per resident. I mean, that's the minimum. Is that correct?
That's
Thank
correct.
You. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Jurens, you all set? All right, thank you very much. Godspeed, safe travels. We'll go to item 9A, which is rejecting all bids for the 2025 Solid Waste Improvements Public Disposal Area Project Number 2519. We go to our city manager, Alan Steger.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a follow-up from an item we discussed at the last council meeting, where action was deferred on some changes to the public waste disposal area at the landfill. After visiting with landfill staff, a couple of council members and I recommend that we reject all bids in this project. We do believe we have a solution that will allow us to potentially leverage the improvements the landfill staff is trying to make, while at the same time not jumping immediately into a ramp solution. And so at this time, we'd recommend that you reject all bids.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to reject all bids. Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Mormon. We'll open it up for council questions and discussion. All right, I just want to thank, I know that several councilmen went out to the landfill to look at that, and there was a lot of work done behind the scenes to investigate this a little bit further to get to the point where we are now, where we just decided now is not the right time. So if you are in favor of rejecting the bids, you're going to vote aye. If you do not want to reject the bids, you're going to vote nay. So all those in favor of rejecting the bids, vote aye. CFO Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Pauline,
Aye.
Mormon.
Aye.
Peters,
Aye.
Shetty,
Aye.
Allen. Hoyer,
Aye.
motion carries to
Motion
reject.
carries. Item 9B is an approval of a change order. Number 1, final for the 2024 Park and Recreation improvements for Nelson Park with Timmons Construction Incorporated for an increase of roughly $23,000 for a new contract price of $135,058. We'll go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the final change order for the Nelson Park project that adjusts the final quantities, the additional quantities, primarily for modifying the orientation of the pickleball courts and adding fencing, which ultimately provides for a better product. This project remains under budget, and staff recommends approval. Stand by for questions.
Thank you very much. City Attorney Carrico, just for clarification, I see two different things underneath there, change order number 1 and change order number 1 final, but to me, it's just one motion.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. With that said, I will take a motion on that one action. Motion made by Councilman Shetty,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Hoyer. Thank you very much. We'll open it up for council discussion. Councilman Hoyer.
Just a quick question, Justin. I just want to make sure with the change order that occurred, it was because of some changes that we ended up making in the design, and that's what triggered it?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Any further comments, questions? Motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Bob Zine.
Okay. Pauline,
Aye.
Mormon,
Aye.
Peters,
Aye.
Shetty,
Aye.
Allen. Hoyer,
Aye.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Item 11A is an application for a transfer of ownership of a retail liquor license and video lottery license from WR Capital LLC, doing business as Minerva's Restaurant and Bar, to Team Santo Watertown LLC, doing business as Santo Tequila at the same location. City Manager Steger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will actually address 11A and 11B.
Thank you.
As the explanation is the same. This is to re-effect the license transfer that the council approved at the July 7th meeting. Upon filing the documents with the state, it was discovered that Team Santo had various legal entities and tax ID numbers that they are operating under. These two actions align the transfer of the license from WR Capital to Team Santo Watertown LLC in the entities that are aligned with the sales tax license associated. And this was requested by the state upon transferring the license. I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you very much. And just to add on, it was basically just a bookkeeping discrepancy at the state level, and we're just cleaning it up. No problem, really, just making sure the records all match. I will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to testify on this item? Close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer? Motion made by Councilman Shudy, seconded by Councilman Peters. Open it up for any discussion. Councilman Hoyer.
Mayor, I'm going to be abstaining on A through E with all these alcohol licenses.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Motion is to approve the transfer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And that was a voice vote, but I do want it entered into the records that we had one abstention. Item 11B is an application for a transfer of ownership of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license and video lottery license from WR Capital to Team Cento. Same thing. City Manager Stager, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Can I get a motion from the council to approve the transfer? Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Allen. Any discussion on this, council? All those in favor of approving the transfer, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 11C is an application for a transfer of location and ownership of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license and video lottery license from Bryce Harms doing business as Midtown Number 3 to Dottie's LLC doing business as Midtown 3 Casino. CFO Bob Zine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, before the council is a transfer of location and the ownership. Essentially, what's happening with this one is they had multiple licenses in different suites. This one license will now take over a different footprint. So they're kind of removing the second license down to one over the same footprint. So everything's in order, fees have been paid, notice is published. If you have questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this? I'll close the public hearing. Can I get a motion from the council to approve the transfer? Motion made by Councilman Shudy, seconded by Councilman Peters. Any council discussion or questions? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the transfer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 11D is an application for a transfer of location and ownership of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license and video lottery license from Beaver Enterprise Incorporated doing business as Senior Max's to Dottie's LLC doing business as Dottie's LLC. And we'll go to our CFO, Bob Zine, for more information.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, in front of the council, this is a transfer of location and ownership as well from Senior Max's. This one will be transferred and going inactive to Dottie's, so there is no current license then being in use for this one. It's just a transfer of ownership and location. So again, fees have been paid, notice is published. I can answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I declare a public hearing if anyone would like to speak on this. I don't see anyone, so I'll close the public hearing. Go for a motion from the council to approve the transfer. Can I get a motion? Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Shudy. Any discussion on this, council? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the transfer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 11E is an application for a transfer of location and ownership of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine license and video lottery license from Bryce Harms, doing business as Midtown Number 2, to Dottie's LLC, doing business as Dottie's LLC Number 2. CFO Bob Zine, anything to add?
The only thing with this is this would be that the first one we talked about with it now encompassing a different footprint, and this license will be inactive and held for a period of time. So otherwise, fees have been paid, notice is published.
All right.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak at a public hearing? Can I get a motion from council to approve the application? Motion made by Councilman Peters. Need a second? Seconded by Shudy. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the transfer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12B is an authorization for the chief financial officer to certify the city of Watertown, that the city of Watertown has the financial capability to satisfy current Big Sioux flood control study obligations and authorize staff to sign future related documents. City Engineer Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is related to the Big Sioux flood control study. The Corps of Engineers received some additional funding, and the good news is that the city will receive $350,000 for this project. The city has already paid $185,000, which would be reimbursed back to us, and we've essentially paid our local share of this project. So this is a first signature, and then there'll be some additional documents that'll be coming after the fact that this is authorizing staff to sign. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you very much. Sounds like a great deal. Anything to add? All right. Chair will entertain a motion to authorize the, authorize the certification? Okay. Can I get a motion on that? Councilman Mormon, seconded by Councilman Peters. Open it up for discussion. Well, it seems like a great deal. We've spent a lot of money, but it's for a good cause, and it's nice to see some coming back, so. All right. The motion is to authorize the certification. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're on to City Council member announcements and introduction of topics for future discussion. I would first like to say, everyone, please remember National Night Out tomorrow at the zoo. Starts at 5, is it, Chief? It is a free night. Go to the zoo. There's lots of fun and games and food. So tomorrow night, Bramble Park Zoo, starting at 5, going until 8, National Night Out, hosted by Fraternal Order of Police or WPD? Whole bunch of agencies. I don't want to list off them all for fear of missing them. So it's a great night. Go out and enjoy that tomorrow night, along with so many other summer events that are going on in this community. There's a lot of fun going on. I would also like to take this opportunity to address the city of Watertown and council at the same time about something that I believe is on the minds of many, and that is the city manager position. We as a council are committed collectively to make this as successful as we possibly can because it is in the best interest for the future of Watertown. With that said, in the past, I will just say, we have done a lot of work in the past year, appointed several boards to investigate what this city council could have been doing better in the city of Watertown in general. We did the midterm review committee and we did the succession planning committee to try to make this city manager position and the council manager form of government a success. With that said, one of the things that I would like to do is commit myself to the public of Watertown to have a lot of these discussions in public. The city manager's position is only slightly different than one of these elected positions up here. It is the one position that we have direct control over as council. Our discussions with the city manager should not have to be held in executive session or in private. This is information that is important for the entire city of Watertown to know. Executive session also is codified in South Dakota law to be limited to things of confidential and legal nature. That does not mean the city manager's performance review or goals or goal setting. So in the future, starting very soon, possibly at the next meeting, we're still in discussion with that, we are going to be having a lot of these discussions in public because I think everyone deserves to know. what they are getting for this position and what the council is doing to make sure we are getting the most out of this position. So I know that we have the favor of, or City Manager Stager understands this. I also wanted to recap a little bit about what's been going on. I had private discussions with each of the councilmen just to explore their thoughts because we didn't have a group meeting. Some of these discussions happened before the three councilmen who were not on previously came on, and just wanted to express how I thought we would go forward and take some ideas. We don't have it perfectly set in stone, but one thing that I made clear was we were going to give the position, or City Manager Stager, a month to meet with as many people in the cities that he could, learn as much as he felt was necessary, ascertain the situation, and think about what his goals should be. That was going to be the base upon which we were going to then set council discussion. I asked City Manager Stager to come up with his own goals. This does not in any way preclude council from setting their goals upon the city manager position or City Manager Stager in specific, and it will not. But that is going to be working in conjunction for the best outcome for the city of Watertown. That is how we are going to go forward, at least in part. To the extent that we have to have some discussions in executive session, we will do so. And we will take advantage of that possibility to have possibly more sensitive conversations. But on straightforward performances, this is not much different than just the CFO talking about how much tax revenue we have coming forward in a month. That's all public information, as it should be. And obviously, we can't have all HR or human resources discussions in public, but performance goals and things like that are entirely appropriate for the city of Watertown to know about. Is there any questions on that? All right, thank you very much. Any other council members have any announcements or topics for future discussion? Councilman Allen.
As the representative for Ward D, I just want to mention, it's been very well covered by the city, I think, and the media as well, which I appreciate. We are moving forward with the removal of ash trees to try and stem the tide of the ash borer. And if you have ash trees on your boulevard, they are going to be removed unless you ask for an extension by September 1st, I believe the date is, to treat those trees next year when the next treatment window opens, which I think is like May to July, something like that. So I just want the members of Ward D in particular to know, if you haven't heard it on the media or elsewhere, that that's going to happen. I don't want anybody to be surprised when their tree is mowed down in the next few weeks here, beginning after September 1. So just a little announcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Peters.
I have a question on that, Councilman. Is that just trees in the boulevard, or it has to be, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the city
Yes, that's
doesn't
my
have any
understanding.
power over any others.
Okay. I
So,
don't think they're
yes,
coming
if you
in the
have
yards yet.
if you have an ash tree
That
in
would have
your
scared me a
yard-
little bit. Careful
Yeah.
with trees.
Sorry.
Yeah. If you have an ash tree in your yard that you want removed, that's your own private business. So apologize for that. We would encourage you, though, to seek out several bids. We have heard some different things about maybe some out-of-town contractors coming in offering to take out trees, and just feel free to shop around to make sure you're getting the best price. I also know that the Parks and Rec Department was at least exploring the idea of bouncing around to different wards in the city to take out different ash trees at different times so that one entire ward isn't devastated at one time, but I know that that's still under consideration. Any other announcements? City manager report?
Couple of items. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I have gone through some draft set of objectives for the balance of the year and into the first quarter. I've reviewed that with the mayor and the deputy mayor, and I'm looking forward to reviewing with each council member and presenting in a public session, either the next council meeting or no later than the first council meeting in September. So I'm looking forward to that. Secondly, just a couple of ordinance revisions that we know will be coming, or in one case, it's actually a new ordinance. We've been hearing about the e-bikes and scooters, and we recognize the safety concerns there. And so from a public safety perspective, we are moving forward on an accelerated pace to draft an ordinance to address the safety of those new devices. And then secondly, the Animal Control Board met last week and also has some ordinance revisions that they plan on recommending coming forward as well. And so I anticipate in the next 45 days, we will see ordinance language in both of those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any reason to go into executive session? Hearing none, our business is done. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Good night and God bless you, Watertown.